COVID-19 is worrying enough for adults. So how is it affecting our children? What are the repercussions of this pandemic? Because we're already hearing about children suffering with things like anxiety and health anxiety and germophobia.
Or even, perhaps more so, OCD or separation anxiety.
So here's our tips to help your child adjust to this new normal. This is a topic that we are personally really passionate about because we in our clinic are still helping people who were really negatively affected as children back in the early 80s when we first heard about AIDS, and there were some really scary adverts on television, and we're meeting people now, there were children then, they're adults now, and they suffer because of what they believed from the adverts that they saw back in the early 80s.
Those adverts were quite frightening though, weren't they? I mean, it was literally a gravestone coming out of the ground with AIDS on it, if you remember.
Yeah, no, it was really scary.
And adults always lose sight about what their children are interpreting in a situation. Children are the taught to use their imagination, and sometimes we forget that imagination can run wild. So it's important to think about what your children are thinking.
And so for us as parents and therapists, we'd like to share with you just some ways that you can approach this situation, this pandemic with your child, so as to help their mental health both now and in the future. And the first one being, like Nick said, we need to know what does our child actually believe. So sit your little one down and ask them, and make it very lighthearted and just say to them, so we've had this with COVID-19, just you tell me, what do you understand? How do you see it? Because you can only fix it and address it when you actually understand what they're thinking and feeling.
It's very easy to assume that you know what they're thinking and tell them, look, don't worry about this, it's fine and so on, but they might not be worrying. No. It might be something else.
Yeah, absolutely.
So to get, but it's also important to play it down.
Yeah.
Because you don't want them to think it's a big thing. It's just it's another flu virus. It's something we're going through. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, but that's the next tip really is. It's a virus, and liken it to a flu virus or a very bad cold so that they can understand. You've got to speak to children on their level and make it as simple as you possibly can. So just explain, listen, when someone has a flu or a cold, that's a virus, that's what this is, and it doesn't last forever. I think they need to know that this isn't going to be for always.
And I think one of the important facts to point out to them, the people that have really struggled with this have been people over 70, and kids haven't really been affected.
Yeah, that's really true. And I think the other thing that you've got to appreciate is that you're their benchmark. What we mean by that is, why do your children have the accent that they do? Why do they like the foods that they do? And that is because you're their benchmark. They look to you. So your children are a product of their environment. So no matter how anxious or scared you might feel, it's really important that you remain calm and retain a calm composure, even if that means hiding your own personal anxieties from your children.
And because of COVID, we've got what we would certainly term excessive hand washing right now.
Yeah.
But it's important that we explain this is right now. This isn't something we'll be doing in the future. As soon as this has been contained, we don't need to wash our hands as much.
Yeah, so that's really true. And we do know that there's countries now that are sort of on zero. They've got no new recordings. So it does, hopefully, fingers crossed, that it isn't going to be around much longer. So the next thing is to also assure your children that despite what's happening, despite we didn't have a cure, just say to them that we haven't got one right now, but there's been other illnesses that we didn't used to have cures for, and in just the same manner and just the same way, we have got the best scientists all over the world who are working on a cure and working on something to help to prevent this COVID-19 spreading and prevent us from getting COVID-19, or even if we do get it, to help us to get over it.
I suppose a big component is to not let them watch the news, because again, they can make their own interpretations of any bit of news that they hear, and they might get it totally wrong. So essentially for anyone who's going to funnel this information down to them, it's got to be you as parents and not the news itself.
Yeah, so don't let this pandemic steal away your children's childhood. Just make it as black and white, as simple, and as sort of calm and less frightening as it possibly can be. And again, you're their benchmark. So if you are somebody that struggles with anxiety, do take a look around our channel, because we've got so many films to help on sort of different topics and different areas of anxiety. We also wrote a book called Conquering Anxiety, where we share our formula and steps to help. So that's available on Amazon. You might like to have a look, and just like to wish you and your family good and happy mental health.